Hello, welcome to a presentation on getting information about your Linux server. I'm your host, Gabriel Smith, and this is just going to be a really quick video to show you some basic commands that you can use to get information. The scope of this presentation is to basically show you simple commands that you can use to get this information. And the audience for this presentation is basically anyone that wants to know about Linux. Okay, so like I said, it's going to be quick. So we're just going to look at a few commands and we'll basically run them on the command line. So one of the first commands that I came across was cat proc CPU info. This command will basically give you CPU information. If you want to know what kernel version you're running, you can use a uname -r. And if you actually want to see what version and compiler that you are running, you can do a cat proc version. I'm sorry, that's a cat/proc/version. And this is basically going to tell you also what version of Red Hat you're using. Other commands that you can use, if you want to figure out what memory that you have on your system, you can try a cat/proc/meminfo. And my favorite command in terms of getting information about your system is DMI decode, which I'm probably going to spend the most time on probably a little later. And another way you can get information, hardware information about your system is LSPCI. So LSPCI and DEMI decode are two really good commands. If you want to get more memory information, you can use the command free mem, and it'll tell you how much memory you have, and I believe swap files. So let's just run some of these commands really quickly here. Okay, so our first command is basically cat proc CPU info, and we'll just see what it looks like, the output looks like. So it's a useful command. If you want to know what type of processor a server is using, you can see here I'm using an AMD processor, and it also gives the model number as well, the model name. Very useful stuff. The cache size of the processor, so on and so forth. Let's have a look at some of the other commands. One second here. Oh yeah, uname -r. It's pretty straightforward. Most people know how to use the uname command. I think another thing you can do is uname -a. Now the uname -r is going to give you the kernel version. Uname -a should give you the server name, which I actually haven't named my server as of yet. It's still localhost.local domain. But those are some simple commands that give you some basic information. Other commands that you could check out again is cat. Another command that we could use is cat proc version, and this is going to give us more information about the compiler and the kernel. As you can see, again, it's giving the kernel information. It's also given us the compiler information. Moving forward, let's see here, one second. Memory information, there we go. So you can do a proc mem info. And as it turns out, this can be used as diagnostic information as well as just gathering basic information. Now, I haven't gone through all these categories and just kind of figured out there's quite a bit. I'm just going to we can just look at the obvious information. The total memory looks like I have 4 gigabytes. I have 3 gigabytes free in the system. It also shows you the swap information as well. It looks like we have 4.7 gigabytes of swap memory free. And I think you could pretty much write a book on all these other categories. So let's just move on here. Now, Demi Decode will cover last. Another good command is to list all the PCI devices we have. And it's pretty useful if you're searching for something, you want to know that it was acknowledged by your system. This could be a command that you can use if you've installed a device or you suspect the device isn't working. Moving on, another command we could have used, I probably should have covered this right after we did cat proc memory info. There's also a freemem command. And again, now this is obviously something that's going to be practical day to day. It's basically going to show you the total, what you're using, and what you have free. And it's also showing you the cache. So very useful. Extremely use in conjunction with this is probably top. And you can see what, if I had a memory issue, I could, probably figure out what application, what program is hogging up memory usage. Alright, so I think we wanted to go back to Demi Decode, which is a pretty interesting command in terms of getting hardware information. So if I just type Demi Decode, let's see what that actually gives me. And we'll just do a more because I know it's going to flood the screen. So we get the BIOS information, we get the system information, baseboard information, chassis information, as well as some other things. Now, if we do a Demi Decode help, and we look at the attribute T, it basically says that we can only display the types of entry that we've selected. So let's see what types are available to us. So if we wanted to, we could only we could use the Demi Decode command to list the information that we're interested in. So if we're not interested in anything but the memory, for example, let's say the processor, we could list that. All we have to do is just use T and then just use processor. And there's not much information there. I'm using VirtualBox. So VirtualBox has these generic devices, and Linux is probably not going to have much information on it because it's so basic, so generic. So let's see if we want to look at the system board. There should be a lot there. Oh, baseboard. Oh, system. Sorry. So there you go. So at any rate, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I just wanted to go over some basic commands. What commands do you use to gather information about your Linux system? I'd like to know. You can send me an email at busy386@gmail.com, or you can subscribe to this channel. Thank you for your time.